Well, yes, and it starts with rushing the quarterback, and of course Alden Smith leading the charge there. He's making a run at Michael Strahan's single-season record, and quite frankly and simply, Patrick Willis, the best inside linebacker in the game of football. Now, they'll be going against a rookie quarterback for Miami, their number one pick, Ryan Tannehill, who today is going to lean heavily on Reggie Bush. He's their primary ball carrier, but today I think they're going to try to throw to him more than they have in the past.
And we remind you, today's game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. The 49ers will get the football first. Miami won the toss and has deferred, so they will kick it away. Beautiful, beautiful afternoon here in the Bay Area.
And Greg, I think Joe Philbin playing to the strength of his football team, which is his defense.
We're underway. And this will be run out by LaMichael James. To the 15, breaking across the 25, out to about the 26 or the 27-yard line. The 49er quarterback, the much-discussed Colin Kaepernick, all of 3 NFL starts under his belt, 3 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing, and boy can he run. 40 carries, 298 yards.
Let me throw this in there, talk about running. Was that close for LaMichael James? How about that burst he showed, covering ground from out of the end zone? He almost broke that.
His first ever touch
Yes.
in the National Football League.
He almost made it pretty memorable.
The second round pick out of Oregon. From the shotgun, Kaepernick to throw. Wide open across the 40 and out of bounds at the 45 is the tight end Delaney Walker.
Well, the one thing you see right there that everyone in the Bay Area knows is the arm strength of Colin Kaepernick. This deep out pattern really shows what a quarterback can do. Watch this thing leave a vapor trail on its way to Walker. That's where a guy gets to strut his stuff, and that's what Colin Kaepernick did right there.
20-yard pickup to the 46-yard line. Frank Gore is the lone back behind Kaepernick. Kaepernick will throw it again. And just short of midfield with the catch is Michael Crabtree. In the middle of that offensive line, 11-year veteran Jonathan Goodwin out of Michigan. And the offense starts with a ground game led by number 21, Frank Gore. 28 yards shy of 1,000 for the season. The 49ers all-time leading rusher. And there is Alex Smith, who has been displaced as the starting quarterback here in San Francisco. 3-yard pickup on the previous play, 2nd and 7. Into Miami territory to about the 48. Miami's 4-3 defense, number 91, Cameron Wake, 38.5 career sacks, 25 of them have come on the road. Outside linebacker Koa Misi leads the linebacking core in sacks with 3.5. And in the secondary, safety Rashad Jones in his 3rd season out of Georgia, the Dolphins' leader in interceptions. He has 3. There is Joe Philbin in his 1st year as head coach of the Dolphins. 3rd and 4. The rookie A.J. Jenkins in the lineup. Number 17, a wide receiver out of Illinois. The 49ers' first-round pick, Kaepernick. Running out of time, lost the football. Looks like it's fallen on by 49ers at midfield. Anthony Davis covered it, number 76.
Well, it looked like left tackle Joe Staley kind of gets collapsed. Number 74, he gets run right back into Kaepernick, and Kaepernick couldn't find anywhere to go with the football, and then Cameron Wake knocked it away. And that was a very fortunate bounce for San Francisco. It hopped right to Anthony Davis. Kaepernick, though, tucked that ball away. He made a decision not to throw it, try to run it, but he didn't secure it very well.
That's Devon Best back at his own 10-yard line. The kick from Andy Lee, and he will let it go and bounces inside the 5 and into the end zone for the touchback. 12-17 to play in the first quarter. Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins, their first shot on offense after this. There's the rookie quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Boy, does he know the task in front of him. He just put more points on the board. He is completing 58% of his throws, 7 touchdown passes. He has thrown 12 interceptions, and he begins from his own 20-yard line. And number 26, Lamar Miller, is in the backfield. Tannehill on the slant across the 25 to about the 28-yard line to Devon Bess.
Well, that's a great way to start a game with a good slant throw like that from Tannehill. And right there, Jonathan Martin, the rookie from Stanford, their second-round pick, had been starting at right tackle. They lost Jake Long for the season last week. He now moves to left tackle, which means he's going to introduce himself to Aldon Smith.
And vice versa. On 2nd and 2. Tannehill throwing the other way, wide open. He's got a man across midfield, and that is Hartline. Mix-up, it appeared in the 49ers secondary, and Hartline was wide open.
Well, you can see right there that Carlos Rogers just lets Hartline run right by him without challenging at all. And if Deshaun Goldston doesn't just trip up by a shoelace, Brian Hartline, that is a walk-in touchdown. Deshaun Goldston got him to the ground, but wow, he didn't get a whole lot of Brian Hartline.
First down for Miami now at the San Francisco 44. This is Reggie Bush. No, Tannehill keeping it and keep sliding down at the 42, so a pickup of 2 on the play. On the line, Jake Long gone for the season with the torn tricep. Spotlight on the rookie, Jonathan Martin out of nearby Stanford. Tannehill's passing game can use run support from Reggie Bush, 700-plus yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns this season.
Of course, the interesting thing about Jonathan Martin is that his head coach in college is the guy on the sideline running the 49ers, Jim Harbaugh.
And not exactly cheering for him.
No, he recruited him and coached him his whole collegiate career.
From the shotgun, Tannehill on 2nd and 8. Good protection and throwing this side, and that's incomplete. Devon Bess on the near side of the field. The 49ers' second-ranked defense. Justin Smith, the veteran up front, 12th season out of Missouri. 4 outstanding linebackers, including number 99, Aldon Smith, 17.5 sacks. His next sack will set a 49er single-season record, and a pretty good secondary. The veteran is 8-year cornerback Carlos Rogers from Auburn University. There is Aldon Smith, 3rd and 8 for Tannehill. Going over the middle, too low and a little bit behind Reggie Bush. It falls incomplete.
Well, this time Aldon Smith jumped to the other side of the line and was actually working against Nate Garner, the right tackle of the Miami Dolphins. And he gets close to Tannehill. He's going to come in there on the right side of your screen, and you can see how he kind of knocks Garner back into Tannehill. And Tannehill it looked like he saw a little pressure coming and didn't use a lot of good technique in delivering that football. That would have been completion with a little higher throw.
Ted Ginn, drafted by Miami in the first round, 9th overall back in 07, spent 3 seasons with the Dolphins, is deep. Brandon Field lost this one inside the 5 and gets the good bounce, and it'll be down deep in 49er territory. Good job by Brandon Field. Kaepernick will start deep in his own territory when we come back. Well, any scenario that had the 49ers clinching a playoff spot today had to have the Vikings lose. They did not. They beat the Bears 21-14. So no matter what happens, the 49ers cannot clinch a playoff spot today. Kaepernick throwing and completing across the 10 out to about the 15-yard line to Michael Crabtree. And that's one thing that Kaepernick does better than the average quarterback is run to his left and throw.
Jim Harbaugh telling us that he does it better than any quarterback he's ever had. Right-handed quarterback, this is the hardest thing in the arsenal for him to do, and that's running to his left and throwing it back across his body. And he said Kaepernick just amazes him on a continual basis on how well he does it.
Ball, 2nd and 1. This is Gore. Lots of room on the outside. Across the 20 and out to about the 25-yard line for a first down.
Greg, one thing I can tell you, I guarantee you that 49er fans are going, I'm just so glad we didn't run the option when we were backed up against our own goal line. They completed a pass, and now Frank Gore breaks contain on the left side. The Dolphins did a very poor job of setting an edge. And all of a sudden, a couple of good plays, get back-to-back first downs.
That was the killer play in last week's overtime loss to St. Louis.
That was the only touchdown the Rams scored. A gift.
Kaepernick straight drop on first down and throwing, coming across the middle, close to the 30-yard line, Vernon Davis, and he's hit almost immediately by Carlos Dansby.
Carlos Dansby started last year at 270 pounds. He says he's down to about 238. And he says that his range and his ability to cover guys like Vernon Davis is so much better. And that was outstanding coverage that time by the veteran middle linebacker.
Onto the field now, number 23, LaMichael James, as Frank Gore takes a rest. There is James, second-round pick out of Oregon, seeing his first action from scrimmage. He saw a lot of action in practice in those movement up front.
False start, offense number 75, 5-yard penalty is still second.
Mike Carey, our referee today.
Boy, pre-snap penalties like that, and penalties have been a problem for the 49ers all year. Jim Harbaugh very frustrated with it. They're the fourth most penalized team in the National Football League.
That's 89 penalties on the 49ers this season.
And what's especially exasperated, Greg, is a false start at home. There's no crowd noise. You know, there's no excuse for it.
So Frank Gore back onto the field now, 2nd and 11.
Yeah. Well, Michael James goes, well, that's great. Guy jumps off sides, and I get the hook.
And we get a timeout called.
Did Harbaugh get a timeout
Correction.
call?
Before the delay, timeout. San Francisco there first.
So the 49ers use a timeout before they're penalized yet again. 7:36 to play in the first quarter of a scoreless game here at Candlestick. A spectacular day.
Yeah, just couldn't be any nicer.
In the Bay Area.
What do you think? About 60 degrees, not a cloud in the sky.
And this after a whole bunch of rain here earlier in the week. 2nd and 11 for Kaepernick and the 49ers.
Black whip dog! Black whip dog!
Look out.
Under pressure, and Kaepernick is down back at the 20-yard line, courtesy of Cameron Wake, who now has 11 and a half sacks on the season.
Yep, and Cameron Wake is a pass rushing machine. He's going to come from the left side of your screen. This time he flipped over and just beats Anthony Davis around the corner. Anthony Davis just didn't take a good pass set at all, gave a soft shoulder to the outside, and Cameron Wake just all over Kaepernick. Do not underestimate the quality of this front seven of the Miami Dolphins. They are tough guys.
3rd and 15. From the shotgun, Kaepernick throwing sideline, and that's a bullet off the hands and out of bounds. Vernon Davis, too hot to handle. He was well covered on the sideline as it was.
Well, Colin Kaepernick works on trying to soften some of his shorter passes up, but that's still got to be caught. He put it right on the hands. He can't float it out there because the coverage was too good. Give Miami credit defensively. They got it done.
Marcus Thigpen standing back inside his own 35-yard line. Thigpen with a return chance. Spins across the 35 out to about the 37.5-yard line and brought down by Tremaine Brock. For complete pro football coverage, including everything you need to know from this weekend's matchups all the way through Super Bowl 47, visit CBSSports.com/NFL. This is an interesting time of year, Dan, when all the playoff scenarios are happening and what happens to this team if that team wins or that team loses.
Well, with the 49ers to make the playoffs today, they had to win, and then 5 other teams had to lose? Yeah, that's the kind of scenarios you see when there's still 3 weeks left in the season.
There will be no playoff clinching for the 49ers today.
Go!
On first down, this is Miller, and Miller, no room to go. Ahmad Brooks cornered that one on the outside.
Well, if For those of you out here in the Bay Area, you haven't seen the Dolphins, this is kind of a microcosm of their season. I know we're just halfway through the first quarter, but they play good, sound defense. But everything on offense is hard. It's points are tough to come by. They just don't play as well offensively as they do defensively, and they're going to struggle to score many points here this afternoon, and Joe Philbin knows it.
Bush. And Bush hit hard as he crossed the 40-yard line and bounced back. Deshaun Goldson came up from the secondary.
Well, that's the way you want a safety to come up and tackle. And Deshaun Goldson is one of the best tackling safeties in the game of football. I mean, he is a hard hitter. Reggie Bush has a great hole. Take a look at that. And then all of a sudden, floating in and filling the hole is Goldson. I guarantee you that at one point in time, Reggie Bush thought he had a first down run.
Daniel Thomas in the backfield now for the Dolphins on 3rd and 7. Tannehill over the middle, midfield, catch is made by Best for a first down. And that is his specialty. A native of Oakland, California, undrafted, Devon Best makes his mark on 3rd down.
Well, he's a spectacular receiver out of the slot. And you can see he just found the hole in the zone of the 49ers, a simple little curl pattern, and Ryan Tannehill did a good job of finding him. He was on him all the way. Good pass protection. They chipped Aldon Smith coming in on Jonathan Martin. Martin had help that time.
So now the Dolphins at midfield. Play fake to Bush. Tannehill throwing. That's complete inside the 30. Once again, it's Best for another Miami first down. Last week against the New England Patriots, Joe Philbin said he felt something good to happen to the Dolphins early, and you figured that's got to hold true here today as well.
Well, Ryan Tannehill has had some accuracy problems. He has misfired on some throws. So far in this game, he has been spot on. Right now, his confidence has to be pretty high. We've seen a couple people slip on the turf. The field's in pretty good shape.
This is Bush. Fights his way to the 25, where Ray McDonald makes the stop.
I think that's one of the things that Reggie Bush, who's going to be a free agent after this year, I think that's one of the things he's proven to people is that he's not afraid to run inside, cut it upfield, and take big hits. He is just not an edge player, which is what most people thought he was coming out of Southern Cal. He's proven that he can go in there and get some 30 yards.
Dolphins with 5 wide receivers on 2nd and 6. Tannehill on a quick slant inside the 20. The Hart line very close to a first down at the 18. Let's see where they spot it. It is a first down.
Well, this has been very impressive so far for Miami. They knew that they knew what was in front of them with this 49er defense. Right in the middle of the pack at 14th with 15 touchdowns out of 27 trips inside the 20.
28! Go, go!
This is Bush. Bush dancing his way to the 15 to pick up a 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. This 49er defense allows the fewest number of red zone touchdowns in the NFL.
Well, they're just tough. It's old-fashioned football. Jim Harbaugh, a quarterback, but he's got a defense. His old friend and coordinator Vic Fangio, I'm telling you, this is one hard-nosed group of men. This is a throwback defense.
On 2nd and 7.
Aldon Smith right down here.
Tannehill pulls it down, then overthrows Anthony Fasano, the tight end.
And Miami would love to be a little more explosive at the tight end position. Fasano is split out there to the left, not inside your picture. Tannehill gets a chance, but that throw, I don't know if Tannehill thought Fasano was going to keep going upfield, but Fasano was really in a position where that could have been a completion if that ball wasn't high and outside.
3rd and 7. Tannehill needs the 8-yard line for a first down. Then it toss to Miller. Miller diving for the first down, and he has it inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, that's where the completion isn't for any yardage, and it's up to the receiver to make something happen. And that's exactly what happens right here. Ryan Tannehill comes back with the screen, but right now it's up, make somebody miss, run through some tackles, and get downfield. And that was really nicely done by Lamar Miller.
Lamar Miller, a rookie out of Miami.
Imagine that, another running back from Miami.
The 4th round draft choice. 1st and goal. Miller in the backfield with Tannehill. And movement on the left side.
Jonathan Martin.
False start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty, still first.
So it'll be 1st and goal now, but from the 12.
That is a critical error. That's, again, a false start, and that's missing it big time. Jonathan Martin was well into his block, but every yard down here is just, you got to pay for it dearly, and to add 5 more to the task really adds to it. Oh my gosh.
Movement on the right side.
Now it's Nate Garner. The right tackle.
False start. Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Again, that's not back-to-back false starts. Well, if you're inviting the crowd to get into it, there was 2 invitations. Listen to this. They'll be going nuts.
1st and goal now from the 17. Bush to the 10 and wrestled down there. Aldon Smith making the tackle. And we are down to 10 seconds remaining here in the 1st quarter, and that will be the last play of the 1st quarter. We've come to the end of 1. It is scoreless, but the Dolphins are knocking on the door. 0-0. Dolphins at 49ers. We're back to San Francisco right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. Is a picture, isn't it? San Francisco on a sunny day in December. 2nd and goal, Miami from the 49er 10. Tannehill under pressure and goes down.
Jonathan Martin just got killed. This is embarrassing. Take a look at the top of your screen as he just gets knocked backwards by Aldon Smith on the right-hand side of your screen. Oh, you just don't see that every day. Jonathan Martin knocked completely backwards. They left him alone on Aldon Smith and paid a big price.
And that is a new franchise record for sacks for Aldon Smith, 18.5 on the season. Tannehill, little toss to Bush. Bush, one-on-one, can't beat his man, and is brought to a stop at about the 10-yard line. He is ruled down. That is not a loose football. Parrish, Cox, Dante Whitner. Let's go back and check when the whistle blew.
Well, you can hear the whistle blows afterwards, but that was down on the ground, no question about it. Reggie Bush had complete possession of the football until his knee and elbow hit the turf, so that's no way that's a fumble. Good call by the officiating crew.
Here is Dan Carpenter from 28 yards out to give Miami the lead, and it is good. So 13.5 minutes to play in the first half. The Dolphins draw first blood. 3-0 Miami. What a great day to be floating above a football stadium. Our aerial coverage today provided by MetLife. The Miami Dolphins cap an 8-minute, 13-second drive, their longest drive of the season, with a 28-yard field goal and a 3-0 lead, and Michael James is deep for the kick. And he will not run this one out of the end zone. So the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick will start from their own 20-yard line when we come back to Candlestick Park in San Francisco. 4 complete passes, 4 first down completions for Kaepernick. He begins from his own 20-yard line. And he's going to throw on first down here. Running out of time and throws in a short one over the middle to Gore, and he's hit almost immediately at the 23-yard line. He's been under a little pressure today.
Well, he's been having trouble finding anybody open down the field. Take a look at this. He decides to run with it, gets very lucky that his fumble was recovered by his own teammate, Cameron Wake, with the good pressure, puts him down. But again, it's not like Kaepernick was getting ready to throw the football there. Right now, the 49er receivers are working hard trying to get separation.
LaMichael James in the backfield for the 49ers.
Looks
second and 7.
Looks like the read option coming up.
This is James. James across the 30 and out to about the 33-yard line for a first down. And at practice yesterday, he got Friday, he got lots and lots of work.
Yeah, he sure did, and he got it both in the running game and in the receiving game. They were throwing the football to him with some regularity on Friday. That's the read option formation that Kaepernick runs out of, and that time they surprised Miami with let the tailback get the ball without running the option fake ahead of it.
His first NFL rush is a 10-yarder.
I think he likes it.
The play fake is Gore. Kaepernick on the move, throws far side, that's Crabtree. Crabtree cuts it back inside and pokes to midfield for another 49er first down.
And that's just really smart. Put Kaepernick on the move. He's so comfortable on the move, and with that long stride, he just eats up yardage. And you can see right now, just no challenge at all, and he is so effective at delivering the football on the move. A lot of quarterbacks, their accuracy wanes when they're moving, not so with Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick told us he was taught at a young age how to throw on the run going in both directions. Another first down. This is James. And James trying to turn the corner. He is dragged down by Cameron Wake. And we get a flag.
Got this right in front of the 49ers bench.
After the ball was dead, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 30 from the dead ball spot, 15 yards, automatic first down.
That call is on Chris Clemens, the Miami safety.
And there it is. No need for that whatsoever. LaMichael James, this play is over. You can't come in and just lower his shoulder and think you're not going to draw a flag. I can't even venture a guess as to what Chris Clemens might have been thinking there. And what did Joe Philbin tell us? We have to play a clean game to beat this 49ers team. Nothing clean about that.
We saw them shoot themselves in the foot time and time again a week ago in a one-touchdown loss to New England. This is Gore trying the left side. And inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line.
Just old-fashioned power football right here. You know, this is a power formation. You're running right at it where you've got the most blockers. And, you know, you talk to the Dolphins before this game and they say, hey, no zone blocks here, no nothing. This is power football coming right at us. And Frank Gore is the right guy to be carrying the football with that kind of a running mindset.
On second and 7, quick pass to Crabtree. Crabtree inside the 25, almost lost the football as he went out of bounds.
No, but that's taking advantage of the big cushion that Nolan Carroll, number 28, is going to give on that side. He's going to back off of Crabtree, and Kaepernick wastes no time in delivering it. Look at that there. Finally, Carroll comes into the picture, and Carroll, he almost rips it out, and he does get it away, but Michael Crabtree able to get it back in his possession. Carroll trying to make up for the fact that that completion was good for the first down. He did get it out.
So now first down for the 49ers at the Miami 20. Gapper with time, going to the far sideline and overthrew Michael Crabtree.
Well, he's working against Sean Smith. It's man coverage to that side of the field. Watch Crabtree. Now this is the best corner for Miami, Sean Smith. And he reacts back to the outside, but Michael Crabtree had a good 2 steps on Smith, a better throw, and that would have been very close to a touchdown. Just a little too far to the outside for Crabtree to get.
8th play of this 49er drive. Straight up the middle, the running room, inside the 15, and close to another first down, just shy of the 10.
Well, that's just a great surge by this offensive line. Take a look at this. There is nowhere. There's no defender. There's Frank Gore. That's the first contact. Take a look at how they just eradicate here in the middle. A great lead block by Bruce Miller, the fullback. And Frank Gore doesn't have a Miami defender touch him until he's a good 8 yards down the field. Look at the offset line to the left.
And we get a whistle. And looked like Jim Harbaugh called that one from the sideline.
San Francisco, their second.
Second timeout used here in the first half. 8:44 to play in the first half. You can join the NFL in celebrating 50 years of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Number 68, 67.
Join more than 10 million fans that have made the pilgrimage to the birthplace of the NFL. Visit ProFootballHOF.com. Third and short. Gore. Lassoed back to the 12-yard line.
Boy, Carlos Dansby got tremendous penetration. Geez, Frank Gore could never get turned upfield. Here's Dansby right over here. Take a look at him coming, stepping right up. I'm sorry, I misidentified him. He was back to the inside. Watch the left side of your screen. He comes knifing right in there. Boy, that is a great read and getting upfield by Carlos Dansby, the middle linebacker.
And here's David Akers, who has been struggling lately. He's missed 3 of his last 5 field goal attempts. This one is the 30-yarder. Looking for the tie. And he got it. 8 minutes even to play in the first half. The Dolphins and the Niners tied at 3. A look at one of the landmarks of the United States, the Golden Gate Bridge, and that is a beautiful sight. 68-yard drive in 10 plays. Akers with the 30-yard field goal. We're tied at 3, and Marcus Thigpen is deep for the kick. This one will be able to return Thigpen from 5 yards deep in the end zone. Shakes a tackler, trying to break it outside, almost tripped up, still on his feet. And looks like he made it back to about the 20-yard line. Timeout on the field. Number 17, Ryan Tannehill, back to the controls of a 3-3 game when we come back to Candlestick. One of the matchups that we said we'd be watching today. Jonathan Martin, the rookie, taking on Aldon Smith, the sack specialist. First down from the 20. Tannehill gives to Bush, and Bush with a little running room to about the 28-yard line.
Well, let's check in on how Martin and Smith have been doing. This time he gets some help with a chip from Pisano. This time, though, he kind of gets run back towards the quarterback. But this time, Aldon Smith just steamrolls Jonathan Martin. And I tell you, Martin right now, he's just got to compose himself. He's got to put that last one out of his mind. He's a smart kid, but right now, it's just in the moment. Just try to forget what happened, stay low, and play hard.
On 2nd and 2, Bush again. And Bush has the first down as he nudges across the 30 to about the 31. You know that Aldon Smith, amazing power, Dan, for someone who says he's just 261 pounds. He says that's his comfort zone.
Well, you look at him and, he just looks like DeMarcus Ware, that Fred Dean, that type of a player where the power is, and Charles Haley, another guy. The power just seems freakish for someone that size. Reggie White weighed 300 pounds. These guys don't do it, but they're still powerful.
Quick pass across the 35 to the 37 to Anthony Fasano, the tight end. And the running game now giving Tannehill a little bit of room to throw.
And again, Ryan Tannehill able to step into this. I don't think there's any question the Dolphins have found their quarterback of the future. Again, one-on-one, there's Martin, and he is able to take Aldon Smith up the field, but that's only a 3-step drop and a quick throw by Ryan Tannehill. That's an offensive tackle's best friend.
Go!
On 2nd and 4, this is Bush, and Bush runs into traffic and gets nothing. Now, you mentioned Tannehill, the Dolphins quarterback of the future. Jim Harbaugh is trying to find out if Colin Kaepernick is his quarterback for the future because Alex Smith is due a huge roster bonus in the spring that if Kaepernick proves out, they may not pay it.
Right. And that hasn't been written yet. There's still a question mark. But what Kaepernick has is something that Jim Harbaugh desperately wants, and that is the athleticism to turn a game around by running with the football.
3rd and 3. Tannehill, complete across the 40 and out of bounds at the 45 is Reggie Bush. And we talked with Joe Philbin and with Reggie Bush about him being used as a receiver more often.
Well, Reggie Bush has caught so many passes in this league, especially when he was in New Orleans. And that's really not a big part of the Dolphins' offense. But they said that's got to change, and we are going to make a concerted effort to get Reggie involved in the passing game, especially in this game with the 49ers. And you can see he's been targeted several times already here in the first half.
Lamar Miller into the backfield now. First down for the Dolphins at their own 45.
Go!
Miller, left side for about a yard, dragged down by Ahmad Brooks from behind.
Oh, and that's just and we've got an injury. Is that Goldston? No,
that's number 83, DeMarcus Dobbs.
That is Dobbs. And he is in terrible pain. Oh, you hate to see this. He's really hurting.
They will take a look at him. We will take a timeout. DeMarcus Dobbs being helped off the field, and we'll show you what happened to him. And if you're a little bit squeamish, you may not want to watch.
No, here he is right here. It actually happens when he's on the ground. Watch his right leg right there. Garner goes across the top, and look at it's his left leg. I mean, look how it's caught. Look how it gets caught underneath him and twisted in such a manner. He's actually putting weight on it. But that right leg got up in the air, and then it just got his cleats caught in a player going over the top, and it just bent it at a severe angle.
So Dobbs slowly helped to the sideline by teammates and staff member. And we'll get a word on him as soon as we can. Meanwhile, it's 2nd and 9.
And Dobbs, a regular part of the defensive line rotation for the 49ers, and they just got a little bit thinner.
Go! Over here! Woody, go!
Tannehill on the move and throws, and that's complete. The close to midfield is Charles Clay, number 42. Tannehill can throw on the run as well.
Well, Ryan Tannehill can run. He's excellent on the move as well. And this is a part of the Miami offense, and you can see that run fake completely sold everyone on the line of scrimmage. But Navarro Bowman, number 53, outstanding coverage. He's got man responsibility on Charles Clay, who's Mr. Everything, do everything for the Miami Dolphins. Bowman right with him.
So it's 3rd and 6 to keep this drive alive for Tannehill. He needs the 45-yard line of the 49ers.
Aldon Smith right up there. Throwing.
and threw that behind his intended receiver, Reggie Bush, out of the backfield. And Tannehill was under pressure.
And it looked like Deshaun Goldson had just fantastic coverage. Really, Ryan Tannehill, he ends up going down Justin Smith at the very end, but by and large, that wasn't that bad of a pocket. You got to give Goldson credit for the coverage downfield.
Ted Ginn Jr., the ex-Dolphin, back inside his own 10-yard line for the kick. And he will let this one go, and it bounces inside the 5, and once again, Dolphins with great special teams work.
Did he
and
go?
He walked into the end zone. Oh, that's a horrible play.
Oh,
instead of downing the football, he carried it right to the goal line and stepped into the end zone.
I think it was Jonathan Freeney. What a mistake. Stop right there. Stop. Stop. And he steps on the end line, the goal line. What a mistake.
Here's Jonathan Freeney's play covering that punt, and the question is, did he step on that line?
It looks to me like some of the white line is disappearing. He clearly steps on it there. Joe Philbin, though, is going to throw a challenge flag. Joe Philbin.
The ruling on the field is that the kicking team member took a dead ball into the end zone, which makes it a touchback. Is being challenged by Miami.
So Mike Carey is going to go under the hood and make a determination as to whether or not Jonathan Freeney stepped on the end line there or even the next step.
See, I think I can see green between the line and his shoe there, but that's definitely on the line.
Yeah, and the official was stationed right there. And again, as in all replays and all challenges, you start with the call on the field, and the call on the field was a touchback.
Well, the whistle came in pretty quickly. Question is, did the whistle come before he stepped on that line?
Yeah, and then at the very end of this, an interesting exchange between Brandon Fields, the punter. Watch Fields right there, coming in.
Dude, what are you doing?
And watch this shove. Whoa. Brandon Fields thought he had a punt that was going to be down inside the 5-yard line, and that's not cool showing up a teammate like that. You can be upset, but you don't shove one of your teammates. That is that's a mistake on the part of the punter.
Let's listen for the whistle again. Here's Mike Carey.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The kicking team member did have possession of the ball and took it into the end zone by stepping on the goal line. That is a touchback, first down. Miami is charged with their first timeout, and they lose one challenge.
Let's take one more look and listen for the whistle.
I thought the whistle blows as he steps. Yeah, I think Mike Carey got it spot on. I don't think there's any question about it. He got in there, and kudos to Mike Carey for getting in there and ruling in a hurry. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
It's about a 19.5-yard difference. First down, San Francisco from their own 20. 3:15 to play here in the first half. Kaepernick throwing, wide open, Crabtree, close to the 40, shakes tackler out to the 45-yard line on the first down.
Boy, Michael Crabtree is really blossoming. You know, he had 72 receptions a year ago, but it's his yards after the catch. Working against the Miami zone, again, the spot between the corners and the safety. He found that hollow area there, but I love the way he's working after the catch, trying to make something big happen.
And by the way, we have not yet called Randy Moss's name today.
Well, it's only been called 19 times all year.
Kaepernick throwing to this side, Bruce Miller, and Miller is driven back. by Jared Odrick. There's Randy Moss, the 14-year veteran out of Marshall and future Hall of Famer.
No question about the future Hall of Famer, but the reality was you never played Randy Moss without a safety over the top, and teams aren't compelled to do that anymore. I think most clubs are comfortable putting a corner on him and being able to go with man coverage without safety help.
2 minutes to play here in Candlestick Park in the first half. It's been all defensive. 3-3 Miami and the 49ers. You see the timeout situation with 2 minutes to play. The 49ers down to 1 after they've used a couple early on in this game to avoid delay of game penalties. 2nd and 11 for Kaepernick. Throwing far side of the field. Complete across midfield to the 45 is Randy Moss for the first time today. And there's an example of how strong an arm Colin Kaepernick has.
When you look at this thing, now Sean Smith over there giving Moss a lot of room, so smart play by Kaepernick, dump it off underneath. But you're right, when you see it even from way up here, that ball is sailing out of Kaepernick's hands.
Kaepernick going to throw it again, stepping up, throwing while he's down inside the 30-yard line, and that's Moss twice in a row.
Well, again, Randy Moss just runs a good pattern again, working against this Miami zone, and Kaepernick is finding him. And Randy Moss, one thing about it, after not playing last year, he proved to Jim Harbaugh that he desperately wanted to play in 2012.
Think they've got any playoff scenarios to review back in New York? Coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and the coach. All the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. First down, San Francisco at the Miami. 26, Kaepernick. Little pass out into the flat, complete to LaMichael James down the sideline, bounced out of bounds at about the 10 or 11-yard line.
Well, good blitz recognition by Kaepernick and LaMichael James, because the Dolphins bring the blitz, and it's an immediate dump off. LaMichael James makes himself a target, whips his head around. He expected it, and he got it from Colin Kaepernick. That, for two players without a lot of experience, well done.
First down at the 11-yard line. 49ers can get a first down without getting a touchdown. James still in the backfield. Kaepernick under pressure, and he goes down at the 18-yard line. And that's Cameron Wake. His second sack of the day.
And this time there's some confusion. Anthony Davis, the right tackle, doesn't even touch him. Look at the left side of your screen there. He does. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick has no chance. They didn't even block Cameron Wake. It looked like some confusion between LaMichael James and the right tackle Anthony Davis. What an error.
2nd and 17. This is James trying the left side, and he's going to get nowhere. Coming up from the secondary is R.J. Stanford. And the clock continues to move. 20 seconds to play now in the first half. And they'll try to get another play off before they use that third and final timeout. Kaepernick looking, far side of the field, just threw it away.
Well, that was the best that this Dolphins defense could hope to do. But let's face it, aided greatly by the fact that the 49ers made a tremendous mistake offensively in just releasing Cameron Wake and giving him a free run at your quarterback. That's not Colin Kaepernick's fault at all. You can't leave a guy as good a pass rusher as Wake unattended.
So Akers, who was good from 30 yards out, will now try this one from 37.
He's already missed 9 field goals this year.
From 37 yards out, just inside the left upright. As time expires here in the first half. 2 red zone trips, 2 field goals for the 49ers. We've come to the end of the first half. San Francisco leads at 6-3. Back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 47. You are listening to a Pepsi anthem by Ice Cube. You can download this and other NFL-inspired anthems at PepsiAnthems.com. Back at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the 49ers leading the Miami Dolphins by a score of 6-3. Welcome back, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. Kind of shows you what emotion can do in a football game. The 49ers heavily favored, but the Miami Dolphins playing some tough defense, and yet, as we outlined at the beginning of the day, their problem has been and continues to be today getting points on the board.
Right. We knew this was going to be a low-scoring game with two defenses of this caliber, and you're exactly right. So now you got to wonder, Greg, is one of these defenses going to score, or is there going to be a special teams touchdown or whatever? Because now, let's face it, we're in this second half. Somebody's going to make a mistake, and that may be the difference in the game.
Well, the Dolphins won the toss at the start of the day and deferred, so they'll get their hands on the football first here in the second half, and Marcus Thigpen is standing in his end zone awaiting the kick. (6-3) 49ers. And Thigpen will run this one from 2 yards in. And out to about the 18-yard line. Look at some halftime numbers.
Well, nothing overly exciting. Neither team running the ball all that effectively. The quarterbacks both have very high completion percentages. Tannehill's 10 of 14, Kaepernick 12 of 15, just not for a lot of yardage.
Both these teams began the day alive for the postseason.
And you saw, by the way, that the 49ers are yet to convert a third down 0 for 4.
This was Reggie Bush. Then Bush hit hard, and he crossed the 20 to about the 21-yard line. LeVar Bowman, along with Aldon Smith.
I'm telling you, Deshaun Goldston, he will finish a play. Listen to this. When number 38 comes flying in there to put the finishing touch on somebody, you can hear it a long way away.
Pick up a 3 by Bush. It's 2nd and 7. Tannehill had it batted down at the line of scrimmage. Looked like Justin Smith got a hand up there.
And Aldon Smith is talking to Jonathan Martin, but you're right, it was Justin Smith. He's working to the inside, number 94 right there. He doesn't even block it with his hand. He gets it on his forearm, down close to his elbow. And he just, after 12 years in the league, you kind of get a sense of when it's time to elevate.
3rd and 7.
There's Aldon Smith right here.
Tannehill running out of time, being chased, throws sideline, threw it away.
Well, you could see what happened right there. Reggie Bush helps out. Here's Reggie. Watch this hit. He puts a great shot on Aldon Smith, and that lives incognito one-on-one with Justin Smith, and he finally forces Tannehill out of the pocket. But, hey, great job by Reggie Bush of sticking your face in there. He jarred Aldon Smith.
Meanwhile, this 49er defense leads the league in allowing points on the first possessions of the second half. They allowed just 10, and they won't allow any here as Fields kicks it away to Ted Ginn Jr.
Oh, he's got a lot of room.
From the 24. And out across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. 13:53 to play. Colin Kaepernick, his first possession of the second half. Back in Candlestick from the 36-yard line. Kaepernick in the shotgun. No, Kaepernick keeping it around the left side and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Run out by Chris Clemens. A quick look at the NFC playoff picture. Big game for the 49ers. They hold down that number 2 spot. Green Bay still to play. The Giants are playing right now, and they're winning. Dallas has won. Washington a winner over Baltimore.
We have
Kaepernick picked up 5 at 2nd and 5.
Like that play call, getting him involved in the running game.
Michael James coming this way and down across the 40 to 42-yard line. You know, Colin Kaepernick, he doesn't have enough to be concerned about. He's a young quarterback in the National Football League, and out comes this ridiculously stupid article about his tattoos, and I thought he handled it pretty well, Dan.
Well, when you sit down with Colin Kaepernick, you cannot help yourself but coming away impressed. He has a million megawatt smile. He's a grounded young man. He loves his family. He realizes how fortunate he is to have a great family. And you know what? Yes, it was an incredibly stupid insinuation that his tattoos are somehow a negative.
Yeah, meanwhile, a Miami Dolphin, Koamisi, is down on the field. We'll check him out after this. Alcatraz out in the water. 3rd and 4. Kaepernick from the shotgun. With time, pulls it down, and he goes down at the 35-yard line. Jared Odrick in for the sack.
And again, Colin Kaepernick having a difficult time trying to find somebody open downfield. You know, and in that situation, a lot of times a young quarterback will force the throw. I'm telling you right now, I bet you Jim Harbaugh, a sack is not the end of the world, but an interception is not cool. And that's Koamisi getting some treatment over on the Dolphins sidelines.
He limped off the field at the tail end of the last play.
And Greg, that makes San Francisco 0 for 5 now on 3rd down conversions.
Marcus Thigpen is deep for the kick. Big rush. He barely got it away. Thigpen dropped the ball. Covered by the 49ers. C.J. Spillman on the ball.
The receivers touched it, recovered by the kicking team, 1st down.
We mentioned the Dolphins shooting themselves in the foot against the Patriots last week. This doesn't help today.
No, that is a muff of the punt by Thigpen. Never had possession, goes right through his hands, and it doesn't bounce very far away, but Spillman is able to get right in there quickly. And we talked at halftime about it might come down to a special teams play. Somebody's going to make a mistake.
On 1st and goal, this is Anthony Dixon, left side. Inside the 5, diving to about the 2. And they'll place it at looks like at the 1.
Oh, he got some good blocks out in front of him. Bruce Miller, the fullback, really leading the charge out there. And a great block by Joe Staley. He's the guy that sealed the edge. And then the kick out by Bruce Miller. And that's the way you get up in the air and get another couple yards on the fly. And Thigpen right now agonizing over the mistake he made, muffing the punt.
Gore, the deep back, on 2nd and goal. Gore. Touchdown.
Of finesse on that play right there, as the 49ers are wont to do power football. Look at them come off the ball, and Frank Gore breaks the plane with the football.
And Frank Gore has just tied Joe Perry and Roger Craig for the most rushing touchdowns in the great history of this franchise, 50.
San Francisco goes heavy. They bring in Leonard Davis, Kilgore. They bring in both backup offensive linemen and just power the football into the end zone.
Akers. The extra point is good. 11:17 to play. Thigpen muffs the punt. The 49ers recover. Gore, 50th rushing touchdown. Jim Harbaugh says, way to go, boys. As we mentioned a few minutes ago, in his 8th season, Frank Gore has tied Joe Perry and Roger Craig A couple of great names in franchise history. 50 touchdowns rushing.
And a great Hall of Famer, and I've had the good fortune of meeting Joe Perry many times, and what a gentleman.
Thigpen going to get a chance to run this one out of the end zone. Has an opening. 30, 40, out to midfield and into San Francisco territory.
Well, that's one way to try to atone for a mistake. And he's got good blocking. He's got a nice seam going right up the middle. Then there goes the break to the outside, and then the cut back right there. And a breakdown in some of the lane responsibilities for the 49ers. Look at them go after the football, though, trying to get it away again from Marcus Thigpen.
That's a 56-yard return, and Tannehill and the Dolphins begin at the San Francisco 49.
They finally got something positive from their special teams.
Special teams has been brutal for Miami today. Tannehill on the slant to Von's best. Lost the ball! Still loose and covered, it appears, by the Dolphins at the 46.
I think Richie Incognito ends up on the football. What a fortunate break for Miami. Somebody's going to put a hat right on the ball, right there. Oh, I think it's Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis, number 52, puts a hat or a shoulder right on the football, and it just gets booted right back to Incognito.
Pretty exciting 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7. Tannehill throwing for Bush, and he's got it. Dodges the tackler, gets the first down inside the 40, and flipped over at the 35-yard line by Dante Whitner.
Well, Goldson and Whitner give the 49ers a tremendous pair of safeties, two physical guys. Whitner, of course, a number 1 draft pick by Buffalo back in 06. And you know what? He didn't pile drive him into the ground. He didn't throw him in on top of his head or anything like that. No unnecessary roughness or anything like that involved. But the crowd loved it.
Tannehill. Penalty marker throw. Tannehill running for his life and runs out of bounds, and this is going to be against the Dolphins.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Holding. Offense number 22. 10-yard penalty is still first down.
This one's on Bush.
Well, Reggie Bush again staying in to try and help out in pass protection. Watch the right side here. There he is. He took the fake, and he's got Aldon Smith. Wow, I've seen a lot worse than that. Reggie ended up down on his knees trying to keep Aldon Smith from going upfield. But both officials to that side of the field, Mike Carey, the referee, and the linesman on the far side, both threw their flags.
1st and 20. Tannehill inside the 40, and here is a penalty flag on the completion to Hartline. And we go to Mike Carey again.
Holding. Defense number 25. 5-yard penalty. Automatic.
Whoa.
First down.
So Terrell Brown's holding penalty gives it right back.
1st and 20, and you let him off the hook with an automatic first down. That's a stinger.
Another one of those costly penalties that the 49ers have been trying to fight their way through this season.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, the 4th most penalized team in the NFL.
Go, go!
This is Lamar Miller. And Miller is stacked up at about the 38-yard line. Hey, tonight on CBS, a 60 minutes investigation into the city known as the false confession capital of America. Plus, Hugh Jackman on 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS.
Again, this might be a good opportunity. Take advantage of Ryan Tannehill's ability to move. Get out of the pocket because his pocket has been disappearing. Here's Aldon Smith again at the bottom.
That's Fasano in motion. Tannehill from behind, eludes, throws, incomplete at the 25.
Oh, Aldon Smith, he's got to be upset with himself. I thought he was going to strip the football away from Tannehill, and he ends up just floating right by Tannehill without getting anything done. All right, that's Brian Hartline downfield, nowhere to go with that. That is outstanding coverage. Culver just fantastic, and Aldon Smith, oh, he was so close. So close to knocking that football out of there.
3rd and 8. Tannehill throwing this side to the 35 to Bush. So Bush indeed figuring more in the passing game today.
Yeah, but Patrick Willis that time was having none of it. Patrick Willis, there 52 on the left of your screen. He's reading Reggie Bush all the way. He's got him in man-to-man coverage. Bush did a good job of even catching that football, but had no chance to turn upfield.
And now Dan Carpenter is going to line up a 53-yard field goal attempt.
Boy,
he is 0 for 3 from 50 or more yards this season. He has a long of 46.
Boy, this is going to be great field position if he misses this.
Straight enough and long enough. So Carpenter converts from 53 yards away. Another field goal on the board. 13-6, 49ers. Boy, that view is something you could never get tired of, huh?
Nope.
6:53 to play. To Michael James. 5 yards deep in the end zone. Out across the 15 to about the 17-yard line. Hey, tonight on CBS, don't miss a heart-stopping final challenge on The Amazing Race. Season finale tonight. Hold for Scream only on CBS.
You know, Greg, Colin Kaepernick is 12 for 15, but one of the things the 49ers have not done is try to go over the top. They have not thrown a deep pass trying to get behind the Miami defense. Everything has been more of the underneath variety where Crabtree and Randy Moss have worked under the safeties instead of behind them.
We have 6:46 to play here in the third. Kaepernick has not thrown a pass until now. And that slant out to the 30-yard line, complete to Michael Crabtree.
And again, this is the matchup that the Dolphins won most of the time. Sean Smith, number 24, but behind a nice play-action fake. That slant is so hard to defend. Sean Smith with good coverage, but sometimes it's impossible to defend the perfect route and throw.
Cole Reese still not back in the lineup. Jason Trusnick, number 93, has replaced him at linebacker for Miami. On first down, Harry lies forward progress is going to be marked at about the 28.
Boy, in Miami just locking up single coverage on the wide receivers, and they are stacking the box inside. They are really playing this run. You got 8 Miami guys right in there. And again, it is bump and run, press coverage on the outside. At some point in time, Colin Kaepernick got an audible away from maybe that running play and try to take advantage of that single coverage.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Quick pass out to this side. Crabtree looking for running room and is down across the 35 to about the 38-yard line, 2 yards short of first down. And that's Jason Trusnick with the stop.
I think the 49ers are showing you how much they like Michael Crabtree running with the football after the catch. They're trying to set him up in a variety of different scenarios where he can get some yards after the catch, which he's done very effectively so far today. He's got 7 receptions, 85 yards on the day, Michael Crabtree.
3rd and 2. And Kaepernick going to throw for it. Out to the far side, and the catch is made by Bruce Miller, and he's right at the 40-yard line, which is
they're going to give it to him.
Down.
And I think that's the first 3rd down conversion of the day for the 49ers. And it is by about the nose of the football. Joe Philbin is holding the red flag. You can challenge the spot if it has to do with a 1st down. And he's putting it away. Puts it back in his pocket.
So Michael James dancing his way to midfield into Miami territory to the 48-yard line and another 1st down.
Well, Michael James has earned his way into a regular season game by the way he's been practicing. Jim Harbaugh didn't need him to this point. He had Frank Gore, he had Kendall Hunter.
Said he's been a victim of the numbers game.
Yeah, Kendall Hunter's on IR, and he's got great blocking. Take a look at that hole to the inside. Nice seal, Alex Boone on the inside, but let's be realistic. We're into December now, and LaMichael James is bringing a pair of fresh legs to this 49ers offense.
Black Bear Zone! Black Bear Zone! Let's go!
And Harbaugh calls timeout from the sideline again. 3rd time in this game Harbaugh has done that with the play clock winding down.
Welcome back, everybody. 8 seconds on the play clock, but there's Delaney Walker. He's in the wrong place. He's in the wrong place. You can see the confusion, and Kaepernick trying to get everybody straightened away. Jim Harbaugh had to take the timeout. Not Kaepernick's fault.
This is Gore going to pitch it back to Kaepernick. Kaepernick going to go deep down the middle of the field for Moss. Incomplete.
And they finally take their deep shot on a flea flicker, and Colin Kaepernick puts the football right on Randy Moss's hands. Man, he gets the flip back from Gore, and look at this bomb, and he puts it right on the palms of Randy Moss, who's being interfered with all the way down the field.
Even right to the goal line.
By R.J. Stanford.
Wow.
Seriously, how do they not throw a flag on Stanford? He was grabbing Moss's arm for about 20 yards.
Well, Michael James, penalty marker. This is going to come back. And James down the sideline has enough for the 1st down, but the marker in the backfield is going to go against the 49ers. Jim Harbaugh saying that was not a hold.
Holding. Offense number 77. 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Mike Carey says yes, it was.
Well, that's Mike Iupati, they're calling it, the left guard. There he is right on the left side of your screen, number 77. He's blocking to the inside on Randy Starks.
I'd call that a hold.
Well, he's got the arm all the way across. You can get your hands on a guy, but you can't put an arm bar on him like that and keep him from going where he wants to go.
Second and 20. Kaepernick, quick pass. Gore, midfield, 45, still on his feet, inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. That's a heck of a run by Frank Gore.
Well, the great Frank Gore has been doing this for the 8 years that he's been in the NFL. Just a little flip. It's a screen pass. There he gets a good block by Goodwin, the center. Joe Staley is tackled downfield, and look at him. Yeah, check it out. The great jump cut, and then he's going to put his hand on the ground, keep his knee from touching at the end of that, and pick up some extra yardage.
Number 96, Paul Soliai, had the distinction of missing him twice on the same play. 3rd and 1. Kaepernick threw it, incomplete. Moss, the intended receiver, and Kaepernick very close to the sideline.
But I think he threw that thing as he was in the air going out of bounds. Well, 4th down and 1. Maybe just a shade less than a yard. And pretty obvious here that Jim Harbaugh is going for it. This would be like a 56-yard field goal.
And the play clock down to 8. 5. Gore in the backfield. Kaepernick going to throw. The slant. Incomplete. And the penalty marker.
Sean Smith, Michael Crabtree.
Pass interference. Defense number 24 from his call to foul. Automatic. Push down.
A simple pattern, and Sean Smith, in the estimation of the officials, goes through Crabtree. Hard to tell from that angle, but the official threw the flag, and boy, what a big conversion. Via penalty. Gore.
Dancing his way to the 20.
What a move. Randy Starks, number 94, is a very good defensive tackle, and he's just got Frank Gore measured up. There's Dansby. He misses. It was actually Carlos Dansby. I misspoken. I didn't want to blame Randy Starks. Dansby had him in his sights and didn't even get a touch. And Frank Gore goes over 1,000 once again. That's his 6th 1,000-yard plus season.
Second most among active players. Yeah. Steven Jackson has 7 of them. And San Francisco burns another timeout. Nobody knows the game like the quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
You know, the 49ers and their coaching staff were concerned about Frank Gore's workload last week, and that's why LaMichael James is going to be a bigger part of things as they head towards the playoffs, because Frank Gore, they have got to put him on a pitch count. I just don't think at this stage of the game you want Frank Gore carrying the football 25 times a game. And that's where LaMichael James could be invaluable in replacing Kendall Hunter in this offense.
So another short yardage situation for the 49ers. 2nd and 1. 10th play of this drive. Gore looks to have the first down. We go to New York. JB and Dan Marino.
Hey, Greg, Seattle looking to stay perfect at home. And they're perfect here in the first half. Russell Wilson drops back down the middle of the field. Zach Miller, 24 yards for a touchdown. Seattle's winning 38-0 at halftime. Wow. Arizona's given up the most points in any half ever. Unbelievable. Back to Greg and Dan.
And you know, those Seattle Seahawks are giving the 49ers no breathing room at all in the NFC West.
And how about this class of rookie quarterbacks, how they're playing?
How about that Seattle victory over Green Bay and how that may figure into things down the stretch for both of them? This is LaMichael James, left side, diving ahead to the 20.
Jared Odrick, number 98, just got too far upfield. And by the time you tried to bounce around there, there's just no place to go.
We have come to the end of the third quarter. Not a bad game. 13-6. Niners back after this message and a word from your local station. Back at Candlestick, along with our producer Mark Wolf and our director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, and the rest of our CBS Sports crew. Haven't been working with you long enough.
I've heard a lot worse.
To start the fourth quarter, 13-6, San Francisco, 2nd and 12 for the 49ers. Make the pass, give it to Gore. Gore right up the middle, 10-5 to the 1, just short of the goal line. What a run by Frank Gore, left and right and left and right.
But he's so patient at the beginning of a run, trying to figure out where's the best avenue. You know, this is just a straight read draw but he gets some great blocks, starting with Delaney Walker, Goodwin, Upati, and Boone all right up the middle. And Frank Gore came really close to stretching that thing across the plane.
Anthony Dixon in the backfield, 13th play of an 82-yard drive thus far. First and goal. Straight ahead to the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. Anthony Dixon.
Now Anthony Dixon gets the glory of the touchdown, but that was all Frank Gore setting that baby up. Again, power football just coming right at you. Daniel Kilgore in there at tight end. The backup offensive lineman collapses everything to that side. Excellent block by Kilgore. And right now, the pass rushers of the 49ers are warming up.
Akers. The extra point is good. Just under 14 and a half to play in regulation. The 49ers on top. Plenty of time remaining here in the fourth quarter. 13-play, 83-yard drive.
But that's the kind of a drive the good football teams put together. That was a pretty impressive display of blocking and power football by the 49ers.
49ers have scored on 4 of their last 5 drives. 20-6. Thigpen had a 56-yard return last time he got his hands on the ball. Will run this one out of the end zone as well. Spins across the 20 and outfield out the 24-25-yard line. Hey, next Sunday, doubleheader action here on CBS. Boy, you don't think those Baltimore Ravens will be all fired up after losing today? Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning at Baltimore. Dan, you and I will be there. Also, Indy at Houston, Jacksonville at Miami, and then Pittsburgh against Dallas, Kansas City at Oakland. Check your local listings. It all begins with JB, Dan, Coach Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Boy, a lot of good football next week.
28, go!
Tannehill on the move. Throws sideline, that's incomplete. On the sideline, let's get to JB and Dan in New York.
Hey, Greg, the Giants putting some distance between them and the Saints.
And after a Drew Brees interception, David Wilson goes in on a 6-yard run. First and goal, 28-13 Giants.
Just so my English teacher wouldn't get on my case, Greg, it would be themselves and the Saints. Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB. You know, I call that incomplete because I thought sure that the receiver stepped out of bounds.
Well,
it was ruled a completion.
Jim Harbaugh thinks so too, Greg, because he's challenging it.
That's Devon Best.
Well, certainly Devon Best, his elbow lands out of bounds. The knee is down.
And his hips are on the sideline.
The question is, does he complete the catch in bounds before his elbow lands out of bounds? Did he have both feet down?
There's Jim Harbaugh right there. He's got a perfect view of everything.
That is so close as to when he has complete possession of the football as to whether both feet are down.
And Miami was trying to get another play off in a hurry before the challenge flag came. Didn't work.
That is just so close. And now keep in mind, this was ruled a completion on the field. So Mike Carey's going to have to see conclusive evidence to overturn this. If Best got both feet down and possession of the football, while he is still that left foot is what's the question mark for me as to whether that comes off the ground. He's got possession right there.
The knee comes down inbounds.
The knee comes down inbounds. My initial reaction is I think that's a completed pass. I think he might have that knee down and possession of the football before his elbow touches out of bounds. But it is microscopically close.
And again, Dan, the key, as you mentioned, is that it's ruled a completion on the field.
You don't need both feet down as long as that one knee is there.
If Jim Harbaugh loses this challenge, he's out of timeouts for the rest of the game. Here's Mike Carey.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver was inbounds before he retained control, and then his knee hit inbounds, making it a catch. San Francisco is charged with a timeout.
So the 49ers have no more timeouts remaining, 14 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. 8-yard gain makes it 2nd and 2.
Well, you're right, Greg. Jim Harbaugh did have that happen right in front of him, but he didn't have the advantage of watching it in real slow motion, high definition like we did and our audience does.
And looks like Mike Carey is coming over to deliver the news personally to Jim Harbaugh.
I think he's telling him that you have no timeouts left. And of course you can't challenge unless you have a timeout. So that is no matter what happens now, Jim Harbaugh cannot challenge anything.
Empty pockets, no challenges, no timeouts.
Not until we get down to the 2-minute warning, and then it's taken over by the booth.
2nd and 2. Bush. Looks like he has enough for the first down just across the 35-yard line.
And this is where Miami, they get yeoman service from Brian Hartline and Devon Bess at the wide receiver position, but they are in the market for an explosive player at the wide receiver position, a guy that can really rattle a defense, and they just don't have that guy. It's going to be a real priority in the offseason.
Hartline just 2 catches for 34 yards today. Tannehill stepping up, going deep down the sideline, has a man open, incomplete. Marlon Moore couldn't make the catch.
Well, and talk about getting separation from Terrell Brown.
Now there's a penalty marker down at about the 38.
Illegal contact. Defense number 25. 5 yards from the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
All right, let's take a look at it. Well, you can. There's a jersey grab. Brown was trying to argue that Moore shoved off at the end, but there were multiple fouls by Brown prior to that. But keep in mind, illegal contact, that happens prior to the ball being in the air, thus it's not interference. That's only a 5-yard penalty. So while it's an automatic first down, it only cost the Niners 5 yards. Moore should have caught that football.
Tannehill pulls it down, going to run with it. Lots of running room, midfield. 40 and out of bounds.
And that's something that Joe Philbin and Ryan Tannehill talk about. That, when they look back on this season, that there were some instances where they thought that Ryan Tannehill could have moved the sticks by taking off with the football. That is demoralizing for a defense. Oh, Aldon Smith just gives Rich Incognito a little whack from behind. Rich Incognito.
Bush.
And there's Incognito who shoves Justin Smith at the end of that. Richie Incognito he will play to the whistle
and then some.
And just a little bit beyond.
Speaking of ink.
Yes. And he's always right up there on that list of dirtiest players in the NFL, which he is quite pleased. As a matter of fact, he'd like to be at the top of that list every year.
2nd and 8. Tannehill going to go deep down the sideline for Hartline. Tipped away at the last second by Chris Culliver.
Just absolutely wonderful coverage by Culliver. just absolutely, look at that. Almost elevated too soon, but boy, did he get some hang time. He went up and stayed up. Defied gravity there for longer than I thought he could. I thought initially he might have mistimed that.
3rd and 8.
But instead he played it perfectly.
Bush gets a good block, diving for the first down at the 30-yard line. Mike Pouncey with a big block in front of him.
Well, Mike Pouncey is so athletic and such a good, solid football player. But from the center position, look at him get out there. And then Reggie Bush is going to see what he does to Sean Goldson, and then he cuts back inside. Man, that's getting your center to cover a lot of ground. And the Pouncey brothers can play themselves some football.
Go, go!
First down from just inside the 30. This is Bush. Clock continues to move as we come up on 11 minutes to play in the 4th.
And this is a drive that Joe Philbin's team desperately needs.
This Miami Dolphins team has been in a lot of games that they've lost, and they've beaten some quality teams this season.
Yeah, they remind me of teams like Cleveland, and they're just hard-nosed football teams that struggling to score enough points.
Bush inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Well, any way you look at it, the Dolphins got to get in the end zone twice. They haven't been there yet.
Now let's talk about this, Dan. Are the Dolphins in 4-down territory here, or is it too early in the 4th quarter?
That's a good call. That's a good question. Depends. Personally, if it's 4th and 4, I think they are.
Bush, first down.
More than that.
Inside the 10. Twisting his way to about the 6-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, good blocking by the guys up front to get Reggie Bush to the second levels. John Jerry, the right guard gets a good block, a missed tackle at the line. And then look, Patrick Willis has Reggie Bush wrapped up, and watch Reggie keep fighting. There's Willis right there, and Reggie Bush is not going down. One of the best tacklers in football struggled like him to get Reggie on the ground.
Daniel Thomas in the backfield. 1st and goal for Miami. Thomas, left side, inside the 5. And Alden Smith making the stop over there.
Well, Patrick Willis is the defensive leader of this football team. Look at him flow, read, and then decide when it's best to go up and get in on the play. Just 5 years in the league and 5 Pro Bowls. This is year number 6, and there's no way he's not going to Pro Bowl again.
11th play of a 71-yard drive, and to the 3 is Daniel Thomas.
What a hit. Goldson. Whitner's in there. Listen to this. Whoa. Dante Whitner is the first guy in there. Patrick Willis takes on incognito. Man, is there some contact.
So we have a 3rd and goal from the 3.
Oh. Between Willis, Whitner, Goldson, some big hits.
Daniel Thomas in the backfield. Tannehill rolling, throwing, end zone, overthrows everybody. And well covered in the end zone on the near side of the field were both Best and Hartline. And now decision time for Joe Philbin.
I think he's got to go for the touchdown. I don't see that this where you are inside the 5-yard line. You gotta go for the touchdown. You need 2 touchdowns to tie. This is no time to kick a field goal.
Fasano.
Well, Dante Whitner has the coverage, and Ryan Tannehill floats a perfect pass. Look at that stretch out. Oh, he only got 1 foot down. I think Fasano is only going to... Well, the right knee. The right knee lands in bounds. And that's going to be good enough, I think. Does he have possession? Does he keep it after he hits? I think that's a touchdown. He's got possession. There's the right knee on the ground. The other foot doesn't matter once that right knee touches.
It has been confirmed as a touchdown, and here's the extra point.
What a play by Anthony Fasano. Are you kidding me? What an effort.
Fasano's 4th touchdown catch of the season is a dandy and pulls the Dolphins to within a touchdown at 20-13. Nice picture shot by our technical director, Mike Tiffany.
I could see me hanging off of one of those babies.
I can't see me.
I'd be in the drink.
LaMichael James. Run it out. And hit as he crosses the 15 out to about the 17 by Olivier Vernon. Just under 7:50 to play. Hey, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame show. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher, all the scores, highlights, the playoff scenarios coming up on the Subway postgame show.
Greg, if this position looks familiar for the Dolphins, they were in this exact same spot last week against the Patriots, needing the football back, and the Patriots kept it for 7 minutes, ended up kicking a field goal and icing the game.
The 49ers have scored touchdowns on each of their last 2 drives. Kaepernick to throw, far side of the field, low, but caught over there and out of bounds at about the 20 or 21-yard line is Crabtree.
And again, I think Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, showing a lot of confidence in Colin Kaepernick in this situation, throwing it on first down, letting him air it out.
And again, this is very much these last few weeks an on-field audition for Colin Kaepernick for the starting job for the 49ers at quarterback. James. Across the 20 to about the 22. And there is Alex Smith on the outside looking in on this quarterback battle right now.
He suffered a concussion on November the 11th in the first game with the Rams, and he was inactive for a week and then hasn't played since. And it's just Jim Harbaugh, the old adage about not losing your job because of injury. Jim Harbaugh obviously didn't get the memo.
35. Dolphins looking to make a defensive stop here. Kaepernick throws, and that is caught, but well short of a first down by Crabtree. So the Dolphins do make a defensive stand.
Well, the 49ers had some success in running the football, and yet 2 of the 3 plays in that series were passes by Kaepernick, and their only running play was a toss to LaMichael James that he barely got back to the line of scrimmage.
Marcus Thigpen, who muffed the punt earlier, turned it over to the 49ers.
And if anybody here at Candlestick thought about leaving early, they're rethinking that now.
See what Thigpen does. Oh, this is a horrible punt. The Dolphins are going to get the ball at about the 38-yard line. The Miami Dolphins, their last 2 drives resulted in a field goal and a touchdown. And we get movement on the far side. That looked like Aldon Smith.
Well, he moved, but Jonathan Martin jumped. But I think they're going to say that Martin was drawn off.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 99 jumped into the neutral zone, causing an immediate reaction. 5-yard penalty. First down, 5 yards to go.
So it's 1st and 5, and a reminder, our aerial coverage today provided by MetLife. And great pictures they have been.
Well, such a beautiful day. Yeah, Alden Smith there at the top standing up, and that is an immediate reaction by Jonathan Martin. Stanford guy, he knows how to do it.
On 1st and 5, this is Reggie Bush. Left side, trying to turn the corner, has the first down. No, it looks like he's about a yard short of the first down.
Yes,
Out at about the 47-yard line. $65 yards rushing on the afternoon for Bush. And Tannehill carries to midfield for the first down. You know, we've talked about the athleticism of Colin Kaepernick, and Ryan Tannehill is no slouch in that department.
No, he is not. And, you know, we talked earlier about the importance of him getting out of the pocket, making things happen. Not just extending a play to throw it, but actually taking off downfield and moving the chains himself.
Rushing yardage dead even at 94. New set of downs, Miami at midfield. Under pressure, and he threw it away.
Well, Patrick Willis is unblocked. Patrick Willis is going to come in, and he really disguised us there on the right side, right between the left guard and the left tackle, and Tannehill has no chance whatsoever. Richie Incognito looking back to the inside. None of the offensive linemen saw Patrick Willis coming. A very well disguised blitz.
2nd and 10. We're down to 4:40 to play in regulation. Tannehill under pressure, throws incomplete, and there's a flag.
Flag downfield. Brian Hartline is saying he's interfered with. Of course, he's not an official, but this is going to go against the 49ers,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Mike Carey's asking for the
There
number.
are 2 fouls on the play. Roughing the passer, the defense, and pass interference, defense number 29. Pass interference decline, the helmet-to-helmet contact is accepted, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
So let's see who was in on Tannehill here.
Right there, it's Navarro Bowman, number 53. And they're saying that it's helmet-to-helmet on the quarterback. And then right there, you can see Culliver just drags Brian Hartline to the ground. But Navarro Bowman led with his helmet and made contact with Ryan Tannehill on the helmet. You know, this game's so hugely important for Jim Harbaugh's ball club. If they want that number 2 seed a shot at it, they have huge road games coming up, going to New England and then going to Seattle in the next 2 weeks. That is a...
you don't think the Seahawks will be fired up for that?
That is a man-sized bite out of the schedule right there in those 2 games. Tripping and stumbling here.
Helmet is enforced from the previous spot, first down.
First down, Miami at the San Francisco 35. The Dolphins looking for a tying touchdown.
Triple!
They have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Tannehill down the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Rashard Matthews. It'll be 2nd and 10.
And again, Matthews couldn't get any separation. Terrell Brown that time with good coverage. But again, we touched on it earlier about how the Dolphins would just love to get a real playmaker at the wide receiver position. Hartline and Bess are good football players, and anybody in the league would be glad to have them. But they don't have a game changer.
Tannehill on the move. Had to throw it away. Chased by Alden Smith.
And that was just the only play available to the rookie. That is not the time to try to throw it back across your body into the middle of the field. You're not looking forward to a 3rd and 10, but you don't want to make a dumb mistake either. And here's where the offensive line of the Dolphins has their work cut out for them.
Miami 5 out of 11 on third downs today.
This time Aldon Smith is coming over to this side of the field. He's going to work on Garner.
Play clock down to 2, down to 1. And Joe Philbin running in to call a timeout.
And he
Joe
got it.
Philbin called the timeout just before the play clock expired.
Miami.
That's the fastest we've seen Coach Philbin move.
And he barely, because the flag is actually thrown. Coming in there he is. And I'll tell you, he got the benefit of the doubt because I'm not sure he got it called early enough either. See, he got the benefit of the doubt. The play clock had already expired when Joe Philbin got the timeout. But the line judge, or the linesman, he's not looking at the play clock. That's not his responsibility. He awarded the Dolphins a timeout, and they got a good break.
4:22 to play in regulation. And certainly the Dolphins are in 4-down territory here.
Oh, yeah. And, that should figure in on this play call. Even if you don't get all 10, at least get something manageable on fourth down. You don't need to pick up all 10 on this play. Again, Aldon Smith there, number 99.
Tannehill with time down the middle of the field and overthrows Devon Bess.
Well, Devon Bess is primarily a slot receiver. He's not a burner, and he just can't hardly separate himself too much from Carlos Rogers. That would have taken an absolutely perfect throw. Rogers had everything covered short.
Miami's chance to stay in the game right here. 4th and 10. He has time. Throwing. Far side of the field. Incomplete. Intended for Marlon Moore. And the ball will go over to the 49ers.
Well, Brown had the coverage underneath. Goldson had it deep. That would have taken an absolutely perfect throw for this end up a completion. You can see right there that Brown knows he's got safety help over the top. It would have, a perfect throw would have gotten it done. It would have gotten it done, but nothing short of perfect, and it's an incompletion.
5 straight incompletions on that drive from Tannehill. And the 49ers take over at their own 35 with 4:10 to play.
Yeah, Vic Fangio had his guys in the right place at the right time.
The Dolphins with 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning left to try to stop the clock. And this is Gore. Let's get back to New York for another update. James Brown, Dan Marino. Go ahead, guys.
Greg, a shootout in the Meadowlands.
Yes, and the Saints on the way back after Eli Manning interception. Drew Brees to Darren Sproles 9-yard touchdown. 27-35 Giants.
And a lot more game to be played. Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, thank you. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins have called a timeout to stop the clock with 4:05 to play, and they have 1 timeout remaining.
Well, remember the last time when the 49ers on their last drive tried to possess the football, it was 2 passing plays and a pitch to LaMichael James. I think they went back to a little more old school football there.
And remember I said that Seattle would really be awaiting those 49ers. I believe I saw Seattle has put 51 on the board this afternoon.
Did they really?
And they're still playing.
Russell Wilson. I'm telling you, that whole rookie class, it's
decent.
It's the story of the year. It's unbelievable.
51-0, their lead over Arizona. 2nd and 6. Straight ahead for a first down to the 45-yard line is LaMichael James. And that's a big first down for the 49ers.
And that was almost a touchdown. LaMichael James, first of all, he stumbles coming out of there. He almost gets tripped up in his own backfield. You can see right there he trips over his own blocking back. That was really close to going the whole way.
So there was some conversation at midfield, but now it is a first down at the 45-yard line.
And they got the play clock set back. That was an extremely well-blocked play up front by the guys from San Francisco.
Open flip!
4. But you know what, Greg? 3 good, solid yards where Frank Gore thought about jumping to the outside, comes back in and takes what's there.
Miami uses its third and final timeout. What kind of a day has it been? How about the Washington Redskins in overtime over the Baltimore Ravens? And everybody talks about RG3. What is Andrew Luck and Colts? They've won 7 of their last 8 starts. And what a game for the Dallas Cowboys. They defeat Cincinnati in the wake of that tragedy that took place.
How they do that, I don't have any idea. Jerry Brown Jr. was killed. Josh Brent is in jail, charged with intoxication manslaughter, and somehow the Dallas Cowboys able to focus enough and play with enough emotion and purpose to win a game.
And that's not just a one-week thing. That'll be with them for the rest of the season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in essence, you've lost 2 teammates, young people. Josh Brent making a mistake that he will never, ever recover from, and Jerry Brown, of course, dead. Such a shame.
3:01 to play. Miami out of timeouts now. On 2nd and 7, this is Kaepernick, and Kaepernick hit at midfield.
He got hit. Carlos Dansby came in, and he's the second guy in, and he just twisted Kaepernick the other way.
Dan, what do you think Kaepernick has done today to secure this quarterback position for San Francisco?
Well, I think that he's played, his percentage of passes. He's 18 out of 23. He's careful with the football, and that's priority number 1. He does not throw foolish passes. Now, he got lucky. He fumbled it early, and the 49ers recovered his fumble.
Here's another big third down, 3rd and 5. Kaepernick keeping it again, and he's on his way.
You want to ask me again?
Touchdown 49ers.
You want to ask that question again? We've talked about it early. Jim Harbaugh wants a quarterback that can win football games with his legs. Everybody wants their version of RG3. Keep in mind, Andrew Luck can really run as well. And look at the smile on Colin Kaepernick.
And Dan, if you think about the circumstances, a 3rd and 5, the defense is going to bunch it against a guy like Frank Gore in the backfield, and you've got a quarterback who can keep it and run.
And keep in mind, the vast majority of times today on those plays, it was the running back who ended up with the football.
Akers with the extra point is good, and the 49ers lead is 27-13.
That's only the 3rd time today that Colin Kaepernick has kept the ball and run it himself. He displays it for everybody to see. You can see that Jared Odrick, the defensive end of that side, sucked all the way down to the inside. That's the read for Kaepernick. And when he sees that, away he goes. Look on the left there. Watch Odrick come all the way down. He's coming in after Frank Gore. Oops, I am gone. Jason Trusnick all alone on the outside. No match for Colin Kaepernick. That is what that read option does. When it works, it can make you look foolish.
He had a 50-yard dash last week against St. Louis. Equal that one today. And there's Alex Smith.
And you just feel for Alex Smith, especially because of the fact it was a concussion, and you want players to be careful.
And has done nothing wrong.
Yeah, you want the players to tell when you've been concussed, don't lie about it, be truthful. And yet, Alex Smith unfortunately lost his job, but there's no denying the raw talent and the upside that is Colin Kaepernick. Good thing about the 49ers is they got 2 quarterbacks that can play, and there's a lot of teams in this league that don't have one.
Well, there's very little doubt Alex Smith, if things continue like this, will become available next season for somebody. Along the ground, scooped up by Jaworski and Lane, and a loose football, and covered, it appears, by Miami. And this is where things can get a little bit chippy, and they do.
And Greg, I got something to say here. We've got a lot of football left to play this year. There are playoffs coming up, and you know what? Alex Smith may win some games for the 49ers before this season is over. I think it's premature to close the book on Alex Smith, and yet you see that football come out. That is a fumble.
And it's Miami football at their own 39.
They were able to recover it. But you never know. Alex Smith may yet be a part of this season for the 49ers.
So one more play here and we'll reach the 2-minute warning. Tannehill going to the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Hartline. And with 1:59 to play, we reach the 2-minute warning. 27-13, 49ers back to Candlestick after this. Reggie Bush looking on. This hasn't turned out the way he had hoped, nor any of the Miami Dolphins, who for the second straight week have played an outstanding game against a quality team. And look like they're going to come up short, and Tannehill goes down back at the 30-yard line. Aldon Smith.
Well, let's see how they score this sack. Obviously, every time Aldon Smith is anywhere close to being involved, he's chasing the single-season sack record held by Michael Strahan.
That's his second today. Pass to the far side of the field, and that's complete to Rashard Matthews, and he's out of bounds. I, for one, am speechless. So now it's 4th and 11. Tannehill under pressure, eludes that, looking downfield, looking, and throws it away. Nobody there, but the ball is going to go over on downs.
Throwing it away is never a good thing on 4th down.
No.
Let's go back and look at that sack by Aldon Smith. He's standing up there on the right side of your screen. Tannehill can't find anywhere to go with the football, and that was Smith who went down low and brought down, and that gives him 19 and a half.
Which is a franchise record. He set the franchise record with his first sack of the day.
That's 3 sacks behind tying Michael Strahan.
And the 49ers will now run out the rest of the clock. Kaepernick takes the snap, takes a knee. And for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, this is the NFL on CBS. The 49ers and the Dolphins. Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf, and our score is 27-13. San Fran. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. So Joe Philbin, again, sees his team knocking on the door and just can't quite overcome the opposition.
No, but I know no one in Miami wants to hear this, but I look at the Dolphins and I see a team on an upward curve. They got some holes they have to fill, but I think they're getting better.
With this victory today, San Francisco 49ers move to 9-3-1. and still hold on to that number 2 spot in the NFC playoff picture.
But going to New England and then going to Seattle and then coming back home to finish out the season against the Arizona Cardinals. Couple of extremely tough road games ahead for the 49ers.
That will do it here at Candlestick. Jim Harbaugh on his way across the field to congratulate Joe Philbin. Our final score, the 49ers 27 and Miami 13. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and an investigation into the false confession capital of America, followed by the season finale of The Amazing Race and a new episode of The Mentalist. For Dan Deerdorf, for all of us here at CBS Sports, Greg Gumbel saying so long from San Francisco. You've been watching the NFL